Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Hi everyone, and welcome to On the House, the Household Management Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Gabriella Yastra, coming to you from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's begin.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Dina Sargeant. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have a constant battle with balancing fitness, eating right, and managing a whole household. It has always seemed to be pitted against each other in terms of what a priority it would be. Today, we're joined by NASM certified fitness trainer and RRCA certified running coach, as well as the founder of Run Street Fitness and Lifestyle site, Marnie Kunz. Thank you so much for joining me, Marnie.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is a really fun topic for me to discuss, and I think we spoke a little bit about it before we started recording because I've heard so many stories of people on their priorities, and I think this is what we're basically talking about today is how to keep this as a priority and making sure that we maintain our fitness, maintain our health in many different ways. Also, as I realize that as you get older as well, the priorities tend to be so much more focused on everyone else around you rather than yourself. So I always wanted to know, what was the inspiration behind sort of creating Run Street and creating that space for a lot of the members to really force themselves to find that time?
It started with me I've always been a runner. I started running when I was in junior high, and I wasn't good at other sports. I wasn't coordinated. I was kind of like this nerdy kid, and I ran cross country and track. And then I also love writing. So Run Street started as marrying running and writing as a blog about running, and I got certified as a running coach and a trainer. And I wanted to help other people enjoy running and the physical and mental health benefits of it. So for me, running helped me a lot in my life dealing with stress and anxiety. And I just thought that it's a good way to be able to help other people too. And Run Street, it really kind of gained momentum when I moved to New York, and I started a running group, and I started leading runs around Brooklyn, and pretty soon it just kind of grew, and I led runs in other cities, and a lot of them were based on looking at street art. So it was called art runs. So we would do runs and you look at art, and then I added fitness more later as a component during the pandemic when I was at home a lot, and I started doing more home workouts and stuff, and I got certified as a fitness trainer in addition to a running coach. So it kind of just all came together.
Wow, it's amazing how COVID really sort of changed everyone's mind when it came to running and when it came to taking care of yourself and focusing a little bit more. Because I think I told you a little bit before we started recording is the fact that I took on running throughout COVID, and there was that focus of, okay, I had no control over what's going on anywhere else, but I had control over what I'm going to do with that. And that's sort of why I started running and got back into it like I used to do when I was younger. And as COVID ended and things went back to normal, there was that, okay, my priority has changed. I don't have time to go out running anymore. I don't have that, even the half an hour to go. Even though I know that I have the time, there's still that mentality of, okay, I feel like I'm busy. I can't be doing, if I can go out running, then I can go do laundry for half an hour. I can do other things for another amount of time that it would take me to go running. And when it came to deciding, and I think we're going to talk a lot about this today, when it came to deciding what is going to take place, a lot of it was precedented of, okay, I'm so much more focused on doing other stuff than I am about really taking care of myself.
And I think that's common because everybody had a lot more, well, not everyone, but a lot of people had more time during the pandemic, and then things got busy again. But one thing that I like to do is like literally running errands. So like running to go to the store to pick up something, and I'll just bring my running backpack, or like kind of find ways to fit both of them in together so it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, like only workout or only clean up. I know it's not always easy, but I think kind of establishing a routine can help too, where you're like, okay, I'm going to plan for this every other day I'll do a run or something like that. So it's not like, it doesn't have to be so time consuming.
Yes, no, I agree. And I think it's so simple as well. Okay, I'm going to go out for a run. But then when you try to keep it as a daily to day thing, there's always the minute that you stop for one day being like, oh, okay, I can't do it today because I have a meeting or I have class or something. That's the moment that all hell breaks loose and you're not able to sort of pick it back up again. And it's such a strange mentality to be like, okay, if I don't do it for one day, then I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah, I know. And it's common too. I see it a lot that people that I train, they're like, oh, well, I was doing this like training for ultra marathon and then I missed and then I just stopped running altogether, So I think it's very common. And I think a lot of people would beat ourselves up like, oh, no, I missed it. And then you feel bad about it. And it's like easier just not to even think about it,
Yeah, exactly. And then you're sort of stuck in that mind of like, oh, it's okay, I can do it tomorrow. I'll do another run tomorrow. And then tomorrow hits and it's like, oh, I can't do it today because I've got other things that I need to get done or work needs to get done or so many other things. And you always forget about that run that you were meant to do like 2 days ago by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for that introduction. Before we get deeper into it, I'd love to get to know some of your interests as well as some of your recommendations by playing a little icebreaker to get us warmed up.
Okay.
Now, to start off with, do you have a favorite book that you could share with us?
One of my favorite books is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Nothing to do with fitness. It's by Maya Angelou, and it's just a great autobiography that I always liked. And I was an English major in school, and that was one of my favorite books.
Okay. Is there something special, like very specific about it that's very special to you?
I just like the way that she was very honest, and I felt like she was very much like authentic in telling her story and not apologetic. So I think it was inspiring. And just the way that she kind of did her own thing. And I think that just as like a way to live, that was inspiring. Also as a writer, it was inspiring to see somebody just kind of like completely bearing everything and telling a great story.
Okay, that's amazing. And it's so rare to also find an author that really does hit very deeply. And the minute that you find it, it's a book or it's an author you can't let go of. It's just you're sort of stuck with that author for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of movies, do you have one that you've recently enjoyed that you want to share?
Can a TV show count?
Yes, a TV show definitely counts.
Okay, because I realized I haven't watched many movies lately, but I've been watching Only Murders in the Building, the TV show, and I really liked that show.
Yeah, I think on my podcast, that's probably the most frequent one that I talk about quite often.
Oh, really?
I love the way that all of them really act. It doesn't feel like they're acting to me,
Yeah.
and that's one thing I really love about it.
Yeah, me too. And that's very entertaining. And I like kind of like true crime mysteries, but it's not too gory. It's like funny,
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
Now, in terms of podcasts, do you have one that you are listening to at the moment?
I love The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes, and he does a lot of like personal fitness and wellness and also just general like self-improvement stuff. So I think it's inspiring to hear from. He interviews great people in different, fields, like from business to sports or celebrities. And I think it's pretty interesting.
Do you find the time to listen to podcasts while you run, or is it sort of an outside of running aspect to it?
Yeah, it's mostly when I'm writing. So I write a lot on the Run Street blog, and I also do some freelance writing. And so when I'm writing, unless it's like really intense, usually I just listen to podcasts. So I don't know what it is. I guess it makes it feel like I have coworkers or something.
It's like the background noise that always makes you feel like an office
Yeah.
full, which is, I can understand that. It's very
Yeah.
different when you're sitting there listening to music, because otherwise you can sing along to the lyrics and bop your head. But when you listen to a podcast, it's so much more like there's people around you, that you're not really just sitting in a room by yourself, just writing something up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, either in your personal or professional life, do you have someone that, or maybe a group of people that you find yourself looking up to?
I do look up to my dad a lot. He's really smart and he's a very caring person. So I think I look up to him from that. And he also had an exciting life. Before I was born, he used to be a diplomat and he traveled a lot around the world. And so he's always somebody that I looked up to.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. That's such a great story to keep telling you all the time about the different travels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is there a course throughout the journey of your academic career, or like the fitness journey, is there a course that has really inspired a lot of what you're doing today?
I would say during the pandemic, when I started taking courses with NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, that inspired me a lot because I learned a lot about strength training, and it was something I always did, but not consistently. And then when I learned about so many of like the health benefits and stuff, it really inspired me personally, and also it made me want to help other people. Like when I go to the gym and stuff, I see mostly men lifting weights, and I think like to help women with more weightlifting and just to help people learn more about it was inspiring, because I thought this is something that's really beneficial for people at all stages of their life. It's not just something for like professional athletes or something. So I think those courses were very inspiring.
So yeah, I've heard a lot of my friends sort of talk about their fitness coaching journey. A few of them are now PTs themselves. And then I think they did that throughout the course of the pandemic as well. So it's become a huge change in their mindset as to, okay, when you lift weights, it's not just you lift weights, you become bulky and your shoulders become big. There's that whole idea really changes of like the depth as to how you can really make use of the course, I think, and make use of what you've learned and what they've learned themselves throughout it. So it's always really nice sort of hearing about different courses that take up like the PT sessions and different PT courses that are always available.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think that's exactly what happened with me. I was like, I knew that weightlifting was helpful, but then the more I learned, I think it went against a lot of like common misconceptions that, that women shouldn't lift weights, or that it's going to make them big, or when it actually can help speed up metabolism and help people maintain muscles so they don't lose muscles as they age. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I hope you are all warmed up, and thank you so much for answering those little quick questions.
Sure.
Everyone has a very different understanding as to what managing a household looks like and what it's supposed to sort of entail. What would household management be defined to you?
It would entail taking care of the general procedures of your household and making sure that you manage everything as far as from food and eating to utilities, paying your bills, and also making sure the members of your household are taken care of. So for me, I live in New York and I live in a small apartment, and it's not a huge amount that I manage, but it's still the same things that everybody has. It's just different degrees. So like I have my dog to take care of, my dog to walk, and then I have, to do grocery shopping and to make sure the bills get paid and stuff like that. So I would say it's just managing all the different aspects of your household to make sure that everything gets done to take care of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And I think especially when we're talking about households, we're talking about all different types of households, and all different types of households always have their struggles. It doesn't matter whether you're living alone, living with roommates, living at home, or having a family with you. There's all different types of struggles that each household really goes through. And I think when it comes to balancing taking care of yourself and taking care of the house, there is that conflict in there. I mean, you're managing to make it a little bit simpler for yourself by also having Run Street as well, where you're able to really have that fitness side to you. But there's still that idea of, because you're PTing, because you're helping others, you're still working, and working is still really taking care of, it's still on the household side rather than taking care of yourself side. So there's still that struggle that really does exist within your own household as well. I would assume so.
Yeah, it does.
So how does fitness and nutrition really work together to influence our health in our homes?
It's a big influence. So I think that sometimes people discount how much fitness and nutrition can affect your mental health and your focus, and like how well you do at work and outside of the house, or if you work from home, it's going to affect you there. So like kind of planning your nutrition can help a lot with your grocery shopping, whether it's like you make a kind of set list and you go at a regular time every week, or if it's like cooking at a set time, or having certain meals that you cook from home. That goes into managing your house and your schedule. And then your health is important, because you won't be able to really function if you don't have your health, and your fitness helps improve your health and maintain your health. So I think it kind of all fits together, where it's not easy to balance all of them, but it's definitely worth it. And a lot of times we realize this when we're sick. Like if we don't have our health, then we really can't focus on anything anyways. Like we can't really manage the house well if we're sick, and or we can't work or things. So I think focusing on the health is pretty important, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it's the most important when everything's busy.
Mm-hmm. And how important is a routine when it comes to trying to find the time to do everything? I know everyone's routine is always flexible week by week, and things can always change, but having those set schedules of, okay, I need to do things, this is a list of things that I need to do today. How important is it to have that routine set down?
It's very important. So I think sometimes it's surprising to see, I've seen it in my own life and other people's, where when you have a lot of free time, sometimes you actually get you get less workouts in. And when you're busy, but if you plan and you schedule your workouts and stuff, it's easier to get them done, because I've definitely had days where like I did absolutely nothing and I still didn't work out. And then I've had times where I was really busy or even traveling, but I planned ahead, and then once you have it in your schedule, it's much easier to do it without really having to think about it. Where if you're just kind of vague, like, oh, I'll do it later or something, then it's a lot easier to get busy or not get to work out. And
Yes, no, I'm smiling, and I don't know if the camera panned to me as I did that in the edit, but I was smiling just because of how much I related to that. Like the minute that I have one day where I have a ton of free time, I'm just like, oh, okay, I can just do anything at whatever time. I can go later. I can do laundry a little bit later. But the minute I'm like busy, especially like today where I have I'm coming into the studio and I'm doing recordings, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing after this. I know when I get home, I'm going to have to do this and this and this. And it's a set schedule as to what I need to do. And it's going to be, I know exactly what I have planned. But yesterday, for example, when it was a public holiday, there was that idea of, oh, I can do whatever today. Like there's that whole freedom. And I think freedom really stops structure in a sense. I feel like there's a whole idea of the minute you have a ton of freedom to do whatever you need to do in one day, the structure of your daily routine sort of stops. Like I usually have the routine in the morning of like, okay, I'm going to make my bed in the morning. And this morning I did. But yesterday, because it was a public holiday, I simply was like, oh, I can do it a little bit later. And there was no pressing need to get into that routine of doing it.
That makes sense. Yeah. And that's pretty common, I think. And I think it's good to have some balance. So like say you have a holiday or you plan every Sunday, you're not going to do anything, which is good, to have a mental break. But I think to have most of the time. If you can have a schedule, then it definitely will help.
Mm-hmm. And I think you spoke a little bit earlier as well about meal prepping and meal planning. I have a ton of friends who have families, and they're always going through the freezer meals, for example. Like they make a whole batch of things on Sunday and they're freezing it for throughout the week for dinner. Is that one way that can sort of make it a little bit easier for those days where you're just feeling like you're not really up to doing much, or you're not really having that schedule in?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. If you can like plan ahead and say you cook all on Sunday and you cook a couple meals for the week and freeze it, or even just cooking one meal and then planning to have extras so that you can save it for the next day or two or a few days. I think that's a great way to do it. And also with shopping, a lot of times grocery shopping, like, I don't know, I've definitely been on the side of lazy at times in my life with like not getting household stuff done. But I finally realized that I have to, take care of healthy eating and stuff. Otherwise, I'll just be eating tacos all the time or pizza or something. So just making a regular time to shop is good too. Like, okay, I'm going to the grocery store I like to go when it's not busy, and I'm lucky I have a pretty flexible schedule. So I could be like, okay, I'm going to go every Monday morning or something because it's not really crowded. And then that you're still going to get your basic staples every week. So, because I think sometimes when we run out of stuff that we like to eat or we're not prepared, then we're much more likely to just like get fast food or order food or something, which is a lot more not as healthy usually when you eat out. So it's easier if you can plan ahead, and then it's easier to stay healthy. And that's also probably better like budget wise, because then you're not like spending all this money eating out and stuff.
Yeah, the amount of times that I've eaten out, I think the last couple of weeks were pretty big and pretty intense, mainly because there's that whole idea of, okay, I'm too busy to really cook, or I didn't plan anything as to what I'm going to cook. I'm like, oh, I can just go quickly pop over to like this vegetarian place and get like a whole bunch of stuff that I could eat throughout the week. Bear in mind, the grocery store is probably right like 2 stores down from that place. So I still have that time to be able to go and get stuff from the grocery store. I think it's the matter of what my mentality is at the moment. And I think I'm realizing more and more, especially after doing research on the topic today, I realized a whole lot more that there's that idea of, I think I'm busier than I actually am, which is what I think a lot of people go through, of that idea of, okay, I feel like I'm always really busy and rushing everywhere, but at the same time, I have time to go sit and hang out or do nothing for the entire day. And I'm making myself seem like I'm really, really busy when I'm really just not in the mindset of doing something a little bit more productive.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we all do it. I think sometimes it's okay, but sometimes, if you have some days where you have a rest day or holiday, and then you get back to your regular stuff, it helps to have the routine.
And I know some of your site really talks about the home workout aspect to it.
Yeah.
What are some quick and effective home workouts for a lot of people with really limited time, say 20 to 30 minutes they have available to do that?
I would say great workouts use compound exercises. So compound exercises use like multiple muscle groups, things like squats, push-ups. You can do like push-ups under your desk. You could do squats while you're doing laundry. Like, you can kind of get creative and make it a game, and see how much you can fit in, or just like get in at least some workout, and then later, if you have time, you can do other stuff. Like, I think for home workouts, I like to do a lot of body weight exercises are good for people, and they're easy to do, especially like for beginners or if you don't have equipment. So stuff like push-ups, lunges, squats. You can do to get your heart rate up for cardio. You could do like jumping jacks. You could have a jump rope. That's a great cardio workout, and it's very intense. So jumping rope, you don't even have to do it that long. you could do like a few 30-second to 1 minute jump rope bursts and then do some like push-ups in between. Or for more like beginner friendly, walking in place is good. You could walk in place, walk upstairs in your house, like go up and down stairs. And I think there's more and more attention to this because our lives are so sedentary now. We get so sucked in with our social media and our work that we don't move enough. So just even small things can add up throughout the day. So like just walking around like once an hour, if you could take a 5-minute break, or just doing some of those body weight exercises. If you have dumbbells, you can even get in a more intense workout. So you could add some weights to your squats, to your lunges. Burpees is another great workout that's like good for strength training and cardio. So you could do some burpees. So I guess those are some of the main things. And then with dumbbells, you could do more stuff like bicep curls. You could do bench press, or like on the floor, do like a bench press. And yeah, I think those are some of the things you could do.
Mm-hmm. It's becoming a little bit more common as well, I think. The list of home workouts seems to be growing now than it was prior to when you sort of thought about doing a home workout. And I think COVID has definitely had some really effective change in that area as well. Sort of been like, okay, what can we do at home? Like I saw so many people be creative and adding water bottles to two ends of a broom and just did that as pull-ups and tried to work out like that, because that's like the only available thing that they had to make sure that they could get a workout in. And when you talk about creative, there were so many creative ways for people to get in a workout and to force themselves to still keep working out. I think one of the main things that I had a really big problem with when it came to home workouts is that idea of doing it at home, I think is the main aspect, because I live with 2 other people in the house. So the only space that I could do a home workout in was the living room, because that was big enough to be able to do that. But because that's the common room and everybody else is in that room and walking past and everything, I think I got a little bit too uncomfortable to keep doing that. So how would you go ahead and sort of like keep motivated to be able to do that when you know other people are and get over that insecurity of that?
You could talk. That's a really good question. You could talk to people in your household about it and just like be honest and say like, oh, I feel awkward when you keep going through, or can you not say anything to me, or whatever. If something's bothering you, just tell them what it is. Or maybe that's too direct, but you could also just like subtly say, hey, is anyone going to be using the room at this time? Is it cool if I do my workouts every morning at this time or something? And you're kind of telling them, so in other words, don't bother me at this time. that could help. Or you could ask them if they want to join you. I think that's a fun thing I did during COVID was I was at my parents' for a while, and I did some workouts with my mom, and it was nice to be able to do something together and also like help her with her strength training. So sometimes inviting them to do it, or if you still feel like if things aren't comfortable, you could just do like early morning workouts, or maybe do them when everyone else is not there or they're sleeping. That's another option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's such a great advice. I guess one of the big things is the fact that a lot of those workouts you can incorporate with a whole family, for example. Like the whole family can sort of take part in it. And I've seen a ton of videos where there's the kids joining in on the yoga mat and also trying to balance themselves and also trying to go through a whole yoga workout with the mom as she's working out. And it does really give that sense of family when it comes to a workout as well, where it's not like, okay, this is just a me thing, you're not allowed to do it. It also promotes to the kids on working out, I think is one of the main things as well, and trying to maintain that balance themselves.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. You're right. And I think you saw more families like going for walks and stuff too, which is cool. Like that's a good way to get, if people, well, especially during the pandemic, if everyone's tired of the house, like just getting outside. And there's a lot of stuff you can do outside with just like hiking and walking. And that's a fun way to bond with your family and still getting your workout.
Yeah. I think I bought a hiking bike, like the mountain bikes,
Cool.
throughout COVID. I haven't touched it since after COVID, but it was one of the main things that I used as well, just to go outside. And I think the other two people I live with also bought theirs alongside me, so we kept always going cycling, going biking. And I mean, biking in suburbia is not the ideal place to be biking in, but it was still something, I guess, to be able to get outside and do things. And I mean, I guess that can be done with the whole family, like on the weekends, for example, going biking, or just go find a biking trail and go down there as well.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. And making it social, I think it's fun, and it's a good way to bond, and everybody, like you said, the kids learn some healthy habits too, so it's good for them.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Now, this is one really interesting question when it comes to meal planning that we spoke about a little bit earlier. How can households really use that meal planning, but also accommodate the diverse dietary preferences that sort of come up within a family or within a household?
That's a good one. I would say that you can kind of account for everyone's preferences and maybe allow everyone to pick like a meal or pick a theme night. Like if you have kids, say, what's your favorite vegetable? And you can get that vegetable for the week or for that meal. And it will take some modifications. Like when I was growing up, my sisters and I became vegetarian, and my mom was like, I think she got so frustrated because it was like, oh gosh, I mean, this was a long time ago. So it was like, we didn't have a lot of vegetarian options. And I was living in the Midwest, and it was like, a lot of meat and potatoes. But then she got veggie burgers for us. And then she was also like, well, you can also learn to cook your own veggie burgers and stuff. So we started cooking some of our own, and that could help too, so that, one person doesn't have to do all the cooking. So I think like sharing the cooking or having the kids help out can help too. So it doesn't feel like such a burden for one person to do it all.
I guess it's also like a huge finding value in it as well, because I think I realized as an adult how much I enjoy cooking and how much I really enjoy. It doesn't seem like I'm slaving away in the kitchen anymore. It seems like I'm actually standing there because I get to pick what goes into what I'm eating, and I get to have that decision. And allowing kids to do that also builds a lot of autonomy on their end of deciding what they enjoy, what foods they like, what foods they don't like, how much of that food they also want on their plate as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it is a nice feeling to be able to pick how you like it. And I think that's a good thing about eating at home too, is like sometimes when you eat out, it doesn't have all the stuff you like in whatever dish you're eating. And when you make it at home, you can do it exactly how you like it.
Yes, exactly. Now, this takes us really easily into the next section of the show, which is our practice and habits. Now, this is some of the own practices that you try to do and implement in your household. So, what is a practice that you try to do to manage your health while also maintaining your home?
One thing I do is I do weightlifting a lot at home. I have a gym membership, but like in New York, the weather can be very extreme. Like it's rainy here most of the week this week. So it's like, it's easier to work out at home. So I try to do at least 2 strength workouts a week. And sometimes this is kind of weird, but when I'm working out, I'm a little bit of a clean freak with like some cleaning stuff. So I get distracted and I start cleaning the floors. So sometimes after I work out, I end up like kind of cleaning the floors into the second part of my workout, just by it's not so much of a workout, but it's like I start seeing dust when I'm working out and then it bothers me and then I'll have to clean. So, but I think the general practice would be working out at home so that you can still have time to get your other stuff done. So if you need to clean or something, you have more time than if you just have to go to the gym or something that takes more time. So I would say setting a goal like, okay, I'm going to definitely do 3 workouts a week, or I'm going to do 2 weightlifting workouts a week. Setting that goal has helped me to stay on track with my strength training, because sometimes, even for me, even though like I like strength training and I know it's good for you, there's times where it just seems a little bit repetitive, and so I think having that kind of as a set schedule helps me to get it in, where I know at least if I do these 2 workouts, then I'm good for strength training for the week.
Do you follow a set program in terms of your workout?
I follow a program for running usually, and so sometimes I'm training for a race, and then like right now I'm training for a half marathon, and so I'll do a long run every weekend and then have like a rest day the other day on the weekend, and then I do 2 strength training workouts. But my strength training, I don't really have a set training. I kind of just came up with my own strength training routine, but I do it more informally. And then the running, I did come up with a plan where I have like a training plan, and it builds up to running more and doing speed workouts and stuff for the race. So, but I don't want people to be intimidated. So I think it's good to do whatever manageable for them, because people are more likely to stick with it if they like something and if it's fun. So I think that's also a big thing. Like for me, I like racing and it motivates me, but there's definitely times where I don't, and I take breaks from racing and I just do like fun kind of maintenance runs. So I think finding a balance is good, because you don't want to get burned out and like push yourself too hard, because sometimes I think we can lose focus, especially people who are really into fitness can lose focus that we're all just doing this for our health most of the time. It's not like we're professional athletes or something. So just to not make it so hard on yourself that you don't like it anymore. You don't want to get to that point.
Yes, no, I agree. And I think that's a lot of people's problems. One of the, when you're talking about the cleaning and working out, that is probably one of my biggest annoyances as well, is the minute that I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull out the yoga mat in the living room and try to do like a yoga routine or a yoga workout. But there's stuff on the floor. I was like, oh, that means I have to pick up things off the floor. That means I can also vacuum, so there's a clean space. Then I tidy up the whole living room. By that time, I'm like, I'm tired.
I know that can definitely happen. I've had that happen too.
But I have read, and I think this is like the perfect thing for an excuse for me as to why I'm like, oh, I think that's enough of a workout, is the fact that vacuuming, it really is considered a workout in itself.
Yeah.
So if you vacuum like an entire floor space, that is pretty much the equivalent of a small workout. So I'm not working out. There's just, I'm working out in a creative sense.
Yeah, that's very creative, because it is like cleaning is a lot of work too, like, wiping floors and stuff or dusting. So it's still some activity. So that's good.
So how do you think that this practice of, working out at home has really impacted your perception as to what fitness really is?
It really has made me see that fitness is more flexible, I think, than what I originally thought, and that it doesn't have to be a big formal workout with someone yelling at you at the gym or in a like high HIIT training class or something for it to be a workout. So I think being able to work out from home and having the pandemic showed people that there's a lot of ways to be active, and that will help your overall health and your mental health too, as well as your physical health. So I think that that's been helpful for me to see, and also for other people to be more flexible and realize it. There's no one way to do things the right way. Like there's no one right workout routine or exercise. That it's kind of, what works for you and your schedule and how much you can do without feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes total sense to me. One of the things that I'm really grateful for is the fact that I'm a part of an all women gym, which makes it a little bit easier because I think I tried a mixed gym when I first started going to the gym, and I was intimidated beyond belief of like the fact that everyone is so focused on like gaining muscle and I'm going to be muscular and all that. And I'm just like, I just want to maintain my health. Like, I don't know what the health part is supposed to look like or is going to look like for me, but it's not my focus to be the most shredded person in the world. Like, that is not one of the goals. So when I joined the gym that I'm at now, it's a whole different level of support that sort of takes place. And I guess when it comes to gyms, you have to really try a few gyms in order to find one that works, because there's always the environment that takes place as well. Like, the intimidation made me not want to go, which made me not want to work out, which changed my whole idea of what being fit and healthy is supposed to look like.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you found a gym that you like, that you feel comfortable, because I've had that a lot. And even as a trainer, even though I got certified as a trainer kind of late, like later in my life, I still feel intimidated at times at gyms where there's like a bunch of, big muscly guys with huge weight amounts. And sometimes they leave them all on the bars, or they're just, or they stand over you when you're lifting weights, and it can be very intimidating. So I think finding somewhere that's not intimidating is great. Right now, I go to the Y here or a Y near me in Brooklyn, and I like it because it's more laid back than like some of the big gyms, and it's more like families. And I mean, sometimes it can be a little annoying with like a lot of the teenagers, but overall, I find it like very, very low key, and it's not like people go there to be seen, because I think sometimes there's gyms where people just want to go and be seen, and it's not good, for workouts, or there's people who are on their phones the whole time, or like doing videos on their phones a lot, and that's not, easy to get in a workout if people are in the way of their phones all the time.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, I'm all for fitness accounts if it works for them, but at the same time, I think there's also that balance of making sure that everyone else around them is also comfortable, because
Yeah.
you remember, like, there are going to be 10 other people that are also going to be on camera just for the background. So there's also that balance between making sure that they can keep their fitness account, but also being aware of other people around them.
Yeah, that's a good balance.
Now, this leads us into the open mic section of the show, and it gives you a chance to share anything that you're passionate about that we didn't get to discuss throughout the show, or maybe even talk about your business a little bit more. So in the last minute or so, I'd love to give you the floor and share what's on your mind.
Okay. So Run Street, even though I started it as more active with a running group and stuff during the pandemic, it became more about writing, and I am passionate about writing. So that's something that I've been happy that I can work on again. So my Run Street blog is runstreet.com/blog if anyone wants to check it out. And that's where I do a lot of articles on training stuff and lifestyle, like travel, pets, nutrition, stuff like that. And I really love it, and I love writing. So I'm happy that I'm able to do that. And I got enough blog views to qualify for like a higher paying ad network on my blog. So that's been great for me because it gives me more time and flexibility to like write and work on my blog. And I also do other writing projects too, like freelance writing for different websites and things. But I think writing has been something that I've really enjoyed doing that's happened since the pandemic, because before I kind of had lost my focus from social media. I was like really sucked in on social media. And so now I'm happy that I can focus more on my blog and my writings.
That's amazing. So when it comes to your blog, what are the main topics that it sort of looks at? Is it mainly about fitness? Is it sort of maintaining, balancing a whole lot of different things as well?
Yeah, it's mostly about fitness. So it's a lot of like running articles, and I do post training plans too. So I post a lot of running training plans. So like if you're training for 5K, a half marathon, or a marathon. I have training plans on there. I have a lot of free downloads. And I also have a free women's muscle building workout. And so I have like a shop area where people can download stuff too. And then I do a newsletter too. So the newsletter is like a Wellness Wednesday, and I do wellness tips and workout and training resources. So it's mostly fitness focused, but some like related stuff like mental health and healthy eating and travel.
Oh, that's perfect. So if our listeners do want to find out a little bit more about you, is that the site, is Run Street exactly where they should be sent to?
Yeah, that's my main site, runstreet.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll definitely have the link down in the description below for everyone who wants to access Run Street and learn a little bit more, or even if the audience would like to contact you, is that the place that they go through as well?
Yes, yeah. I have a contact page there, and I also have a Run Street Instagram, so you can also contact me there.
Perfect. I'll find the links down below for that as well, for everyone who wants to access that and maybe find out a little bit more about what Run Street is, or maybe join the program as well and have a look at the program. There's going to be, I've looked at it, and there's a whole lot of different plans that work out for so many different types of lifestyles and types of strength that you want to be able to, and beginner, advanced, and that kind of thing that's going to work out really well. So thank you so much, Marnie, for joining me on the show today and for sharing a lot of really useful tips about trying to balance the everyday task and making sure that we're still taking care of ourselves.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking with you.
It was great talking with you. And I hope you guys learned just as much as I did when it comes to balancing and making things a priority, and why the final note should be we need to take priority in ourselves as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'll see you all in the next one.
You've been listening to On the House, produced by the Household Management Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes like this from across 10 life management perspectives can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and other podcasting apps available on your smart devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps other people find it so we can grow and bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at hm.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Gabriella Yastra. Thanks for tuning in.